Gary Neville, welcome to empowerPOD.
Thank you. It's nice to be here.
It's great to have you.
A long time coming.
It has been a long time coming. Gary had me hanging by a loose thread for a while, I won't lie. But
she was mithering me.
Gary was begging to come on the podcast and I was like, listen, it's a booked up schedule, but I want to know how you would introduce yourself today.
Oh, that's a question I've never been asked.
Thank God, mic drop, we're done.
I would introduce myself. I would just say Gary Neville. Oh yeah, I don't like ex-footballer.
Yeah.
But I suppose that's what most people would see me as. People would probably say pundit, analyst, TV person, I don't know.
Big personality, man about town.
No, I'm not a man about town. I'm definitely not a man about town.
No.
I think I don't like the word businessman or entrepreneur really. Like, I don't feel like I know I've got businesses, but because I just played football and I feel like I just want to stay true to that really. But I don't know, when I get asked on my passport or on forms, I'm not quite sure what. But I think I put broadcaster.
I feel like you could just put Gary Neville, they'd be like fair.
Gary Neville, broadcaster's good.
Broadcaster. Okay, we'll take that. And obviously for anyone watching the video, we're sat on two dingy boxes in the middle of the gym.
We are.
The budget was stretched. But
it's better than jumping on them.
It is better than jumping on them. And that is how, I think people might, I don't want to discredit myself here, but I think people might be a bit confused as to how this has come about. Yeah. I'm obviously your personal trainer. Gary is as fit as he is now because of me. I'm kidding.
Not true.
Not true. Gary.
But you're part of the.
I'm part of the parcel.
Yeah, you are.
Yeah.
To be fair, when did I start coming? About a year ago.
Potentially, yeah.
A year and a half ago.
All the days blend for me, but yeah.
I was doing another gym. I'll not mention the name, and I was running all the time, and I kept pulling my calves.
Yeah.
And I just thought, oh no, I've got to stop running.
Yeah.
So no running here, but it has all the sort of fitness machines without treadmill, which is good, and it's good. I have to train with people.
Yeah. See, I've got that written down because I'm really surprised that you train here. And
Why?
I think because a lot of people who are in the public eye, you are a celebrity, they choose to train privately or maybe somewhere where there's not going to be people who are like, oh my God, is that Gary Neville? Because we get that a lot when you're in the class. Yeah,
but to be fair, if I train private, I can't train privately.
Yeah.
Like if I do one-on-one training, even like on my own is a no-go because I just give up after 10 minutes.
Yeah. Which I can see because you do moan a lot in the classes, I won't lie.
But I thrive off moaning. I did do when I played. It's like you sort of like, come on, you know what I mean? If someone's like, and there's the energy of the people in the class and the music, and that's what keeps me going. So it's the other people who keep me going. Yeah. That's how I feel, you know what I mean? Because I can't stop because everyone else is literally here, everyone else is going for it, and you've got no choice then. And I think that's I was like that when I played. Obviously all worked in a team environment. Yeah. So obviously individual sports people will train differently, but for us, it was that team. Being around that sort of group of people every day was like vital, and I think that's the same in my post-football career. I have to be amongst like 25 people, or else this is quite full, this class, to be fair, quite regularly. Yeah. But if there was like 5 people in, I'd be like,
oh, I'd feel awkward if there was only 5 people in this class. I'd be like, I feel like everyone's staring at me. And then if there is only 5, you do get more one-to-one as well, so it's a little bit more intense.
Yeah, but the energy's not there, is it?
It's not, yeah.
And I think a lot of older people, and I would class myself as older than certainly older than a lot of people in the class, think that young people, they've got no get up and go. They're not as sort of got the go and energy that we had in our day. But a lot of young people getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning, they're coming in here and training and going for it, and that makes me feel younger myself, I think.
And how do you stay motivated to train and keep fitness a part of your life when it's no longer reliant on your job?
I tried that a couple of years after playing. If you look back at pictures, like for the couple of years after I finished playing, I stopped. Oh my God. And I got to the point where I put a lot of weight on, lost all my fitness, lost all my tone, everything. I felt terrible. Yeah. And then I started training again and got back into it. And now I've got no choice. If I don't train, I feel bad. Yeah. Like I don't feel great in my body, I don't feel great in my head. Yeah. If I don't start the day, like yesterday I missed, obviously I didn't come in yesterday morning, which was the first time I've missed in a long time when I booked in. But I went out on Saturday night for the first time in a long time, drank from 12:30 in the day till 2 in the morning. I told myself I was going to do it a few weeks ago. It was a concert that I went to and I decided I was going to drink. I felt shocking since. Yeah. And I missed training yesterday because of that. And that's what happens in football. If you drink and if you don't prepare properly, you end up basically taking shortcuts and missing things, and before you know it, it spirals, and that's what happens to everyone if you don't. And so I had to get out this morning and go for it and do it, even though I didn't feel great this morning. Drinking it's terrible on me now.
Yeah, I'm actually the same. Like, I talk a lot on my platforms about sobriety and like managing alcohol because I train a lot. If I drink, it just has a complete knock-on effect. But also as a business owner as well, like if I drink, it knocks on for the whole week because Absolutely. I can't train. And then if I can't train, I feel like I'm not as productive. I'm not showing up to meetings with as many ideas. Do you find that when you train, you walk into the working space and you're like, right, I'm ready for the day today?
Yeah, but going back to my football career, my whole career was based around everything had to be perfect. I wasn't the most talented player. So if I got into a tunnel on a Saturday and I hadn't literally eaten or slept or done the right stretch the day before, it would play on my mind.
Yeah.
And you can't go onto a football pitch in front of 75,000 people thinking I've not quite prepared properly. But it's the same in our lives now. I know I literally this week, I'm -1. I'm sort of like, I'm behind where I should be. And that's because of basically drinking on Saturday night. And I thought so I trained Friday, I was on Holy Friday, came back Friday afternoon, knew I was having the weekend off and thought, right, I'll start again Monday morning. But this day morning, got up and thought, no, I can't do it. And then you start to question, or then you start to feel bad, and then you start to think, you have doubts. And
it's like that guilt, and then you think, I've ruined my day now, and I've started the day off on the wrong foot. And then it kind of like, it domino effects to the rest of everything else you're doing that day.
It does. And I think that's where I think just discipline and structure are really important. I do like people who are not structured and who can live a little bit more like free, but I think generally people like a little bit discipline, structure and routine in the day, and what they're doing in the week they need to know. And I love people who aren't like that, because I just think I wish I could be like you, but I'm not.
That's my friend to the audience. I'm like such a regimented person. I always look at her and I'm like, I wish I could be as just like free.
But you've got no choice. You have to be here at 6 a.m, 6:45 or whatever time you're doing that class, you have to be here. You've got no choice.
Yeah.
And it's the same so we were given an itinerary of every day when we were football players. Every day was mapped out for us. Our days out were mapped out weeks in advance. We knew exactly what we were doing. So now in my life, I literally know what I'm doing all day today, all day tomorrow. I can tell you exactly what's going to go on for the next 2 weeks in my life. Yeah. I know when my first game of the season is. I know when my second game of the season is. I have to live like that, because that's the way I've always been. It's just, I suppose if you work in a team, or if you've got a job that relies upon structure, then you need that continuously. So when I first finished my football career and didn't have that structure of training, I lost a lot and didn't feel great at all.
100%. I think it's really important to like spread that message as well, because a lot of people think that fitness is just about an aesthetic and like just trying to get a six-pack and whatever, but it's so much more for the mental than it is for anything else, which is always why I'm such an advocate for people to just move your body. It doesn't have to be for...
It's like concentration, focus, everything is improved through training and feeling good. And the other thing is simple things like, and I know this obviously playing football, hydration.
Yeah.
Drinking enough water during the day. I go crazy at my kids. Literally, I'll be on at them all day about hydration. Because I always think if kids don't eat properly and they don't drink properly, they're already losing.
100%.
And we all are. If you've got people in the office and I see them, they're not drinking, I will literally say, have some water.
Yeah.
Because it will. I know that they don't drink enough. I know they don't eat enough. I know that they don't eat. So for me, it's really important that people feel well. I think if you don't feel well, then you're just not going to feel like you want to work well. You're not going to feel like you want to live well. It spirals into something that's,
It's a negative place to be, isn't it? So So I want to take it to who you are as a person today. And obviously you are really well known. You walk around Manchester, you're so immersed in the city, but everyone knows who you are. I'm sure you've got to a point now where anywhere you go, everyone's like, is that G Nev? Do you know what I mean? Everyone knows who you are. And obviously you really enjoy what you do as well. And you're quite in the limelight with what it is that you do. But then taking it back to when you were in football, you were obviously a part of one of the most famous teams ever in football. But I think it's fair to say that there was like a ton of media coverage at the time, whether positive or negative, towards like the likes of David Beckham, who you played alongside. Was there a part of you at the time that wished that you were getting that same level of attention that what David Beckham was getting? Never. I was always happy with who I was and what I did, and grateful for that, number one. But I never wanted the attention that sort of some of the more famous players in the team got. Like,
Bex or Cristiano Ronaldo, Wayne Rooney, those types of lads. They're like world stars. Every move was being sort of monitored, photographed on and off the pitch. I never wanted that. I never could have had it anyway, to be fair. I would say actually in the last 10 years, I could walk through Manchester when I was playing with no problem whatsoever. And I can walk through Manchester today without any problem whatsoever. I mean, I live in the town, I live in the city just a few hundred yards away. People might stop for a photograph or say hello, but there's no sort of like problem in my life at all with being someone that's known. For them, it's slightly different. They're in a different position, but I never wanted that. I don't crave that at all, really.
I wondered if you went into doing punditry to sort of experience that element of limelight, but is it not something that really affects you?
No, because I think punditry, to be honest with you, in the last 10 years, it has taken off, and people do now sort of hone in on what pundits say. But I just went into it because I love football, number one. I wanted to stay in football. I didn't really want to be a coach, even though I did a little bit of it. And I felt as though I could communicate with passion, like the game, to people, and I felt as though I was sort of something that I did during my career, because I was captain of United at the end, did a lot of interviews, so I was doing a lot of the TV work, and felt as though it's something I wanted to do. And obviously Sky asked me. Sky asked me a year or so before I finished at United. They said we'd like to be a pundit and come on board, and I didn't know how it was going to go. I didn't know I'd be sort of, what am I now? 13 years later.
Wow, that's a long time.
Yeah, it's a long time, and I feel like it's interesting. A couple of years ago, I sort of felt maybe I'm coming to the end, and then I changed. So I don't do Monday Night Football anymore, but I do more of the sort of commentary. But the thing that I absolutely love, I love going into the grounds. So now I don't go in the studio as much, for Sky. So I've changed my sort of role a little bit, or they've changed my role with me. And I'm now just doing the commentary, which means you're literally sat in the stadium with the 50, 60,000 people around you, and you get the atmosphere, you get the live game, and that's something that I think it's just a massive buzz that, being in the final, being at the Euros a couple of weeks ago, when England scored that goal to get to 1-1, and you're in that stadium, and it's amazing. Obviously, it was amazing for everyone in the country that obviously was watching it back home. And then obviously on the other side of it, the dejection that you get when obviously, Spain score, you feel that as well. And it's the same when you're doing punditry, the sort of ebb and flow of a game and the roller coaster of a football match. I love being in the stadium to experience it. So I'm almost like falling in love a little bit with the sort of what I'm doing again now, and feel like I could go on for a few years.
Your reactions were so funny in the Euros. Like on my For You page, I don't know how, I must have been talking about you on my phone's hearing, and all of my For You page is literally just you reacting to like...
I've infected and contaminated your algorithm.
You've actually contaminated my algorithms. I'm learning way more about football than I've ever cared to learn. But take me back to your first, because I feel like I'm in my first interview moment right now. I feel like I'm in my Roberto Gary Neville phase.
You can see it. You've seen my first interview.
I've seen it.
Oh, but you know something? I actually have a video of me and my brother doing an interview. The first interview we ever did for England when he was 18, I was 20. And then there's an interview I do for United when I'm 25. And then there's an interview that I do with Sky, the Roberto Mancini one, which you're referring to. And then there's the one that I did when the Super League. And it's literally a journey of 20 years you would not recognise the voice, the same person speaking. I mean, when I did that interview with Roberto Mancini, that first ever interview, I'm still not very good at interviews now. I'm not. It's not something I feel really comfortable with. I don't mind being asked questions, but actually sitting there is hard.
It's hard.
It's hard. And people, to be fair, who think that basically, you can sit there and just ask questions. The easiest way, the way I feel comfortable with it when I'm in your spot today, is making it feel like it's a conversation and not an interview. So that's where I felt more comfortable in the last few years, feeling that it's actually just having a chat about football or things in life. But that one, I mean, I didn't know what to do with my hands. So if you notice now, even now on television, I'll hold a pen in my hand.
Yeah, you do hold it. I actually did notice that.
But Ian Wright holds, what are those things? Those like stress.
Oh, yeah, stress balls.
Like stress, it's not a ball, but it's like a roller thing that he has.
Okay.
So a lot of us feel like we don't know, if you don't know what to do with your hands. It's okay if you sat down here, but if you stood up, and you're exposed and the camera's on you, you do feel like it's not,
like where do I put
comfortable.
it?
Some people are really natural at it, but I'm not, and neither are a few people. And they need something just to sort of make them relax. And I was fidgety, I was speaking quickly, my mouth was dry. But I look back now and think, like, it was such a big moment for me doing the first Monday Night Football. Andy Gray had just left a few months before, who'd done it for 15 years. And I felt there was a lot of pressure on me at the time. And It's me at a really vulnerable moment. If you watch that interview, you can tell that I'm miles behind where I should be in terms of, they did well, Sky, to stick with me for a year or two, and then obviously you start getting confident. But that's life. You give people a chance, you believe in them, they get confident, and all of a sudden they thrive and they grow. Yeah. And that's that video I've got, which I think I posted on LinkedIn about 2 years ago, of saying that, people think you end up being a good communicator or a good, they overlap, or they think it just happens. Yeah. It comes from 20 years of doing it like experience. 5, 6, 7, 8 times a week, and experience. That's the only way to learn.
And when you look back at things like that, so your first punditry experience or interview experience, and also even like relating it to your coaching experience at Valencia, where I know you said you felt underprepared for that role as well. What have you learned from going into them to allow you to make better business decisions now and try new things better now?
I think saying no.
Yeah.
I think I think a lot of us are not very good at saying no. Everybody in this room, like, you say yes to a lot of things that you think, even just little things like that your friends might say, well, do you want to go out in a few weeks, or do you want to go out? You're like, yeah, and you might not want to go out, or and I think saying no is very important to things that you're not wanting to do. Some people are good at it, and well done to them for being good at it, and they're quite clinical and ruthless, but I think along the way I've said yes to maybe a couple of business things and coaching things that I shouldn't have done, just because I thought, right, let's go for it. I'll just either not thought about it, or it's instinctive, or sometimes you don't want to let people down. Yeah. That's why sometimes we say yes. And all those things have happened to me in the last 10, 15 years, even in my 40s, I'm making mistakes of that nature. So I think now I would be a lot more selective, and I'd be a lot more clinical. I think also the main thing for me is just people around me. I have to be able to spend time with people, or else it's difficult for me to work with them. Some people can work with people on a professional level and think of it as being, this can compartmentalise it and think it's okay. You obviously get on with different people in different ways, but I have to enjoy spending time with people. I have to feel the passion for the business that I'm in.
Absolutely.
I have to feel that I want to work with people and that they want to work with me, and then you've got a great chance of, well, number one, enjoying yourself, number two, achieving things, and three, having that sort of right spirit and energy in your team, because if you don't get on with people, it's hard. And so now I'd be at Valencia, as an example, I should have been more clinical, more ruthless. When I saw that people weren't quite right and they weren't quite in my sort of mindset, you've just got to get rid of them. Be clinical about that, but also be loyal to people who are with you and want to be, give their all. And I don't tend to judge people on. I don't judge people on most things. The only things I judge people on is, do they turn up every day? Do they work as hard as they can? Do they not give in? And do they come back the day after and do it again? Because I've already decided that they've got the competence to be in the business by the fact they've come through the interview process, they've been recruited, they've got the qualifications, they've got the experience. Yeah. So it's my job then to get the best out of them in that way. It's their job just to, I think, in return, those simple things. But you'd be surprised how many people don't want to give those simple things. People want to get off early. People don't want to work as hard as they can. Yeah. People tend to want to say, I'm not sure I want to carry on. But once I've got that, and it's the same, I suppose, at United when I played, once those things are in place, I will be as loyal as anybody forever. I will literally go through a lot together. There's people who I've worked with for 14, 15 years who, if they want to carry on working with me for the next 15 years, will carry on working with me because they just absolutely give their all the time.
And I think it is important because as much as we don't like to admit it, we're at work more than we're at home anyway. So the people who are around you need to be people you enjoy being around.
I think you have to like what you're doing and who you're doing it with.
100%.
Because you're there 8, 9 hours a day, or 7 hours a day, whatever it is, 10 hours a day, 12 hours a day, depends what job you're in. It's bloody hard work if you don't like people and you don't like the work that you're doing. And I know that sometimes that does occur in life, and that makes me feel really sad when I think that some people are stuck in a job and they can't get out, and they feel like they're, that we have our university, and sometimes we have mature students who are into their 40s, and they're amazing because they're resetting their whole life to reskill and sort of get a new new direction. And I think that's amazing, that to sort of go through a 2-3 year degrees. Mostly they do the accelerated degrees, which are 2 years. And that's just to completely transform their life, to move away from what they were doing before, because they need to basically find a new skill. But it's hard to do that.
Especially in this climate, I think it's very like easy for people to be like, oh, you don't enjoy your job,
just leave. And it's like,
know,
you just can't do that anymore. We're
No.
not in a position where we can, especially when you bring kids and all of that sort of thing into
I would
the
never be that
equation.
flippant. I feel sad about it. I would try and say to people, if you can try and manoeuvre a direction away from where you are currently, where you're not happy, but do it in a way which keeps your income coming in whilst you're doing it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So if you can somehow do a course or I don't know, sort of side hustle, I suppose, away from your job and keep it going, keep your income coming, and then jump when you're ready. And even if people did that with me, it wouldn't be a problem. If I thought people, in fact, I'd like to think we've got an open environment in most of our businesses where people, if they say, like, I'd like to go into a different direction, I would support them 100% in that, because I've done that myself during my career, post-football career.
And to take it back to what you said as well about getting to know people before investing in them and like having them a part of your team. Say with Dragon's Den, for example.
Yeah.
How do you, I presume that's quite a quick, I mean, obviously it's the audience. Yeah. So what are like 3 qualities that you look for in someone that came through the door in that experience?
Do I like them is number 1.
Yeah.
It's probably number 2 and 3 as well, really, because in that sort of, in that instance, you've got literally 60 minutes, let's say they're presenting for 60 minutes, you've got to decide whether you want to invest in that business. Everyone, I mean, look, there might be some financial reasons why I wouldn't invest. They might come in, it might just be too much money for what they're asking for, and you might just think straight away that tells you about them. Because if they're being greedy, there's a sort of fine line, isn't there, between being confident in what you're asking for and being greedy.
Yeah. So
I think that would put me off if I felt they were asking too much. But that wouldn't be the first thing. It would be more about how they are. Yeah, that feel.
We get an energy off someone.
You get an energy off people, don't you? I mean, as you get older, you sort of get to know what good energy is and what bad energy is, and you sometimes get it wrong still. You don't always judge people correctly in the first hour, but more often than not, I think we do get more accurate with that as we get older. And that's why in our businesses, I tend to sit in on the final interview. Nothing to do with qualifications, where they've worked. It's purely around the connection. Can I speak to them? Will I get on with them? Because you're going to go into the office every day or go into the hotel every single day, and then you have to be with them. They're your colleagues they're my teammates.
Yeah.
And they're my teammates for the next 5-10 years, and you've got to make sure you make good decisions and whether, is it right for them? Sometimes I actually will say no to people based on the fact I don't think it'll be right for them when they come in.
Right, okay, yeah.
So you'll make a decision thinking that I don't think they'll enjoy this, I don't think it'll be right, but it's mainly people, it's mainly do I connect with them, do I feel that they've got that good energy? People will usually give you an insight into their own personalities and characters during the interview.
Yeah.
Of what they are and what they're about, and you smell that sort of feeling. Everyone does. Yeah. Everyone does.
Absolutely. I feel like you can just read energy off people. You can. That's why when you're training, I'll know if you're in a good mood or a bad mood.
Yeah, but you should know whether they're in a good mood. Yeah. I would think that you will look around the class and you'll know when people are struggling. You'll know when people are like need leaving alone. You'll know when people.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And to talk about your investment, obviously you've got Relentless, which is your big business. So you said that Relentless is your word. You love it in business and in family life. This was interesting to me because I can understand Relentless in business, so I feel like it's cutthroat, you get stuff done. How does Relentless transpire over to family life for you? What does the term mean there?
I suppose when I came out of United, I named my business Relentless because it was just that I do believe it actually describes life. Because whatever happens today, we get up tomorrow and we have to go again. So it's relentless in that sense. And at United, because we won a league, we had no choice but to come back and win it again, or try and win it again. And because the manager demanded that of you every single day, and every single training session, every single match. So it just felt like a continually relentless sort of, journey that we were on. So that's why I said the word relentless. I like it a lot less coming up to my 50th birthday than I did coming up to my 40th birthday.
Why is that?
Because I don't believe I am relentless, and I do think, every single day I will fill my day, I will work as hard as I possibly can. But there are times in my post-football career, first 5 years, I would be emailing people at 5 a.m. when I got up.
Yeah.
That isn't great. When I look back now, I thought that was me attacking my day. But then when I look back now, I think the idea of them waking up, my teammates, colleagues waking up to emails from me at 6, 7 o'clock and think,
Oh yeah, it would send me into sheer panic, I think.
Yeah, and I think I realised that probably 3 or 4 years after I finished playing football, that this sort of like, I was getting my emails done, you know, getting them out of my inbox, which if I came off emails about 5-6 years ago, I am back on them slightly now, but very limited, because I do believe it's a really poor way of communicating with people. So emails are good for documents and for obviously sending attachments and things, but I hate them in a communicative way. I hate the idea of communicating with people I work with by even WhatsApp. I don't like. So I'll tend to ring them and just speak to them, or I'll say, can we meet up for half an hour? I'd rather do that. So I just feel like maybe Relentless works, it does work, but it needs control. And so now I would never email anybody, probably before 8:30, 9 o'clock. And even then, I'd ring them probably on the way in and speak to them, so they can know my tone is not in a way that, because sometimes the email can come across, it can be like, feel like, oh, he wants me to do that now. Do you know what I mean? Or he's demanding that now. If I wanted it doing now, I'd probably do it myself.
Yeah.
Or I would say, let's do it now, and I'd ring them up. So sometimes emails, I think, can be, I don't believe it's a great way of communicating. So Relentless in that sense doesn't work. And it also isn't how I am in the office. Like anybody in the office that works with me over in Albert Square, they can have a day off a week, 2 days off a week. I don't know if they have 28 days holiday or 48 days holiday. They can go to the gym at lunchtime, 9 o'clock in the morning. I don't perform relentlessly in terms of managing people. I don't. It's I expect everything to be done. We all expect everything to be done. So we all expect the job to be done that we're doing.
Yeah.
But they can go. I want people to be able to pick their kids up. I always think that if you're the boss in a company, you know, sometimes during the week there'll be a time whereby the man, the woman that you're working with, they want to pick their kids up, they want to go to the gym, they want to have an afternoon off, and you have to give people freedom to do that, and that's pre-COVID. That's not, and also we don't sit in the same desks every day. That's like, I feel that's cruel.
Yeah.
You know, people coming in and saying they've got to sit there every day, and then they just think,
it's stale, isn't it?
yeah, that does not happen in our businesses. It just doesn't. So it is relentless in the sense that we're focused, we work hard, but in a way which I think people enjoy it. People don't tend to leave.
I've heard good things about working for you, I will say.
we get it wrong sometimes, and to be fair, even like in the next week I'll be getting something wrong again, in one of the businesses, which I think, I'm carrying it in my mind at this moment in time. It's like a cloud over my head, and I do take it badly when I get something wrong. But it's no excuse if you get something wrong. You can still, you can still exit people really well and really friendly, so make sure that they're looked after, they get a new job, make sure that they're looked after with money, make sure that they're not sort of panicking. I would always do that. So there would never be a case whereby, but sometimes it just doesn't work. But I generally think that if we are working together, people like in the hotel team, hotel football, or in the development business that's been 12, 13 years, a lot of the same people are still here. And some people that leave come back, which is a good sign, because I do think we create a good environment for people, and it's a friendly environment. So the Relentless is good, because it describes what life is, but I don't want that to be a pressure on people who I work with, or it is sometimes intense in periods, but it sometimes can be a bit of a problem, that word.
Yeah. And what about in your family life? You said you liked
Sorry, you asked me about family. I'm not relentless at home.
No. I feel like you are a bit of a softie, really.
No, I'm not relentless. To be fair, so I've got, obviously, married to Emma. I've got 2 girls, 14 and 15, and I want that. They make all their own decisions. I want them to be independent and thinking to do what they want. They're sporty, but they also do everything that 14 and 15-year-olds girls would do, starting to now wanting to go out on their own into sort of, Trafford Centre and things like that. Obviously started to get into all the social media apps and things, but for me, I don't feel I'm relentless at home. I don't think, my wife might say I am at times, but I don't think the kids would. I generally don't put pressure on them to be anything or do anything, or I take quite an interest in certain little things. One of them got left out of the netball team a couple of weeks ago, and they were made reserve, and there was a question brewing in the kitchen as to whether they should go to the training practices if they were reserve, and I was like insistent upon that. you have to.
Yeah.
You have to, it's what you are. You know, next time it might not be you that it's a reserve, it might be someone else. And I used to think that when we used to have substitutes in football, you know, if you're a substitute in a football team, there's 25 of us in a squad, there's only 11 can play. So 14 disappointed people every week. So if you get left out, you've got no right to sulk because those 14 people the week before have watched you play.
Yeah.
So I always take that into sort of like life really, that there are always going to be disappointments. But at home, I don't think I'm relentless. No, in fact, if anything, I'd probably go home and I'm too quiet. My wife would say sometimes I'm not present, that my mind wanders into work and work wanders into things that I'm thinking about next. But I think I'm getting better at it.
It's hard though, isn't it? Because there's the pressure on the fact that you've got to keep all of these businesses running. We're not playing with little figures here either. It's big businesses that all are reliant on you. You can't then just go home and be like, right, I'm going to completely switch all of that off.
Yeah.
And actually, I think sometimes when you do take a minute out, like you get some of your best ideas and then you're like, oh, I need to write that down and I need to remember that. And you sort of end up going all around with all these ideas. But how do you, like for me, I have my coaching business. I'm obviously a coach. I've got my podcast, a bit of social media stuff. And sometimes I find it really hard for my brain to not just be like crazy sometimes. How do you
brain fog.
Yeah, it is. And
you do get it.
So you can't, you're not able to sort of like compartmentalise, right, I'm in food and beverage brain right now, then I'm in...
I'm pretty good at it. I'm getting better at it. And to be fair, what I've done is, there's a number of things that I've done. So when I came back from Valencia, so sometimes I was dipping in to be almost like operational in certain businesses and then dipping out and being shareholder or owner. Whereas now I don't dip in. So there are teams that run each business.
Yeah.
And I will only come in on matters that are very important, or sales or business development. I'll come in on certain issues with each business. The overlap, I spend a lot of time on that. I spend a lot of time in the development business on St Michael's, but there's 2 hotels, the university, the production business, Salford. I'm not operational anymore. That was a big thing for me actually. So I was operational. I was the operational director for Salford for 8 years, and then obviously now it's Nikki, Ryan and Paul. That took a lot off me, which enabled me to do other stuff. And the other thing I try and do is I try and sort of keep half days or days to one business or one sector,
right,
if I can.
Like time blocking it out.
So like I have an overlap day, then I'm thinking all overlap that day. But today, because I'm back only for a couple of days off holiday, it's a mishmash of a day of literally it goes from I think 10 o'clock to 11's Stock Exchange Hotel, 11 till 12 is St Michael's, the development, 12 to 1:30 is this new business I've got a partnership with in America. I don't know what 1:30 is actually. There is one.
I thought you knew your days for the next 2 weeks.
I do, and I've got brain fog. But I am flipping today between each of the businesses.
Yeah, it's a lot.
And then you sort of do have to flip quite quickly. Oh, I've got one on Salford at 2 o'clock. You do sometimes think, I'm not in control here, I'm spinning on a roundabout, and what's going on? You do tend to, at that point, if you can, sometimes you can't stop, but if you can stop, the best thing to do is just completely stop for a day and just clear your mind, or stop for a weekend and clear your mind, and then you come back a bit more fresh. But it's natural if you've got 3 or 4 things going on. I wouldn't stop doing the 3 or 4 things until you feel like you're dropping the ball. So if you're dropping things and you're making mistakes in one of them, and one of them's sort of not doing very well, and it's continually not doing well, it's because you've got too much on and you just need to drop it. So I have dropped certain things. I don't do I've got a restaurant in the hotel, but I have to have a restaurant in the hotel. But I don't do independent restaurants anymore, I've said no to quite a few things in the last few months. Saying no, I'm full up, I'm saturated. So I think saying no again is important. But you do have to clear your head sometimes and just go away for a couple of days.
Yeah. And where's your ideal place to just escape to?
We rented somewhere in Spain in February for a year to test the idea of being able to nip over and have a couple of days there. And I think it's working. We're going over there this summer. I'm trying to think where I go really. My mum lives in Bolton still. And so we kept a house up there opposite my mum, and we go up there actually.
Oh, nice.
Sometimes even just like Friday night or Saturday we'll go up there, and that feels like you're escaping because obviously we live in Manchester, and it feels quite, not hectic, but it feels quite fast.
Yeah.
But when you go up into Bolton, we're in the countryside, it feels Just feels like you just go like that and your shoulders drop and you feel like I can relax a little bit. So even doing that one day a week, we do that if we can one day a week, particularly in the winter.
Yeah, I actually agree with that, because me and my boyfriend, we're just getting so sick of the city centre now, because it just is so on all the time.
Yeah.
So whenever we just drive out to the city, I'm like, I need to just move here, like I need out.
I flipped in my life between Bolton, countryside in Bolton, and Manchester. And when you live in the city, you want the countryside, and when you're in the countryside, you want the city.
Yeah, there's no winning.
It's like you want it, so that's why we end up keeping somewhere out there and then just living in Manchester. I wanted to move into Manchester for the businesses, but I also thought that's where the girls would sort of, just be able to grow most, where the jobs are, where the schools are. I know they're only 15, 14, but I just thought I wanted to get used to living in the city centre. I also think it's an amazing place.
Yeah, but it is amazing. Thanks to you investing in half of it anyway.
It's not down to me.
Thanks for the redevelopment, by the way. And so I know that you always say as well, like, all you can do is show up and work hard. I feel like I hear you say that quite a lot. But what happens on the days where you just don't want to do that? Do you wake up some days and think, I don't want to today?
I mean, more often than not, if I wake up and think like that, I'll have to just get on with it and do it. There are days whereby, the odd day in the year where I can think of where I'll just say, I'm cancelling that. I'm not doing it. And I'll just, I won't let anyone down.
Yeah.
So if I was saying I'm coming here this morning to do a podcast with you, it would have to be something like, for me not to be here, it doesn't happen.
Yeah.
Because I would not let you down, I would not let people down I just wouldn't do that.
Thank God.
But I just wouldn't. I wouldn't do that. You just don't let people down. That's bred into us by our parents, by our grandparents, by our coaches, our teachers. Just basically respecting people and not letting them down. But then there are some times where you just think, I can't do this and I'm not doing it today.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a problem as long as you communicate it well and don't fudge it and make excuses and just tell people.
Yeah, like,
so
I can't do it today.
I can't do it today, I'm sorry. And if I said that to people, they would understand as well. They would think, right, okay, he doesn't feel great. But it is rare that happens. But you sometimes feel below. I felt below yesterday. I was in meetings all yesterday till about 8 o'clock last night. I didn't feel great because of going out on Saturday. Still 2 days later, I felt not great. And I had a sore throat yesterday and I thought, but you carry on, don't you?
Yeah.
But you know something, like I always think of my nan and my granddad. Like they were working into their 80s.
Yeah.
And they're not here anymore, but then they carried on every day for 50, 60 years. And then they came out of a war and they lived through conditions that I can't even imagine. So I always put things into perspective.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Of where we are and where obviously people who have worked, in my family who've had it far tougher maybe.
Yeah, no, and it's true, isn't it? Like, we actually are so privileged for what we are in right now and the position we're in compared to other people. And it is important to remind yourself of that sometimes. But there are some days where you just wake up and you just think, not today. Like.
I know, but you mainly get through it, and then there's the odd day where you just say, I can't do it.
Yeah.
But I think it's when you're actually letting other people down when you can't do it that's the biggest problem.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't like it when people say so if you've booked, like, say, to go to, I don't like people who let people down a lot. I don't think that's right. If you're not going to go somewhere, say you're not going to go somewhere, say you're not going to be there, say you're not going to do it. People who are unreliable, I have a problem
like
with.
flaky.
Yeah, I have a problem with them. I have a problem with, because I think consistency is really underrated. Actually being someone who turns up every day and works hard and does their very best, that's really what mainly, unfortunately, for some people, maybe life is. Yeah. You have to get up, you have to go to school. I always think, like, kids, I did graduation at university 2 weeks ago, and I think, what an achievement. You've just completed 17 years of education. Yeah. You've gone in every single day. And I think as a 49-year-old, I know we've done it, but then I think to myself, they should be proud of that. They've got 17 years, and sometimes they get sort of hit quite hard, don't they, with, these kids now, they don't know the ball, and all that sort of language about them. But 17 years, every single day, turning up and getting your A-levels, your GCSEs, your graduation, your degree, I think it's a big achievement. And then they realise then they've got 50 years of work in front of them. 50 years. Wow. And I say that in my graduation speech that I do, I remind them that it's amazing what you've done, but you've got to do that ×3 now. You've got 50 years in front of you where you've got to turn up every single day and be reliable and consistent, and you've got to work hard. And I hope that they get the job that they want in the sector that they want and with the people that they want, because then that makes it a lot easier, because it means you're enthused every day and you get up and you feel great. but that's not always the case, as we know, and that's where it obviously is sad. But you know, generally, I think reliability is really important, and you do sometimes feel below your best. And I went to see a psychologist at United when I had a relationship breakup, and I was playing really badly for about 6 months. And I've spoken about this before, and this psychologist put everything into perspective to me. I still use it as a coping mechanism this day, when he said to me, did you think every day was going to be a good day?
Yeah.
So if I have an average day or a below average day or whatever it might be, did you expect that every day was going to be good? No. You're going to have difficult days, you're going to have bad days, you're going to have great days, you're going to have rainy days. So I still to that day use that simple question in my life every single time. I feel like, what did you expect? You went out on Saturday, of course you're not going to feel great on Sunday, Monday. You know what I mean? It's like, you are where you are because of you. And
I always say to my clients, like, being consistent is so important. Obviously, I work with people on fat loss, muscle building, whatever. But I always say, like, even if you can only show up and give me 40% today, that's your 100% for that day. And like, that's completely okay. Just show up, do what you can. And it's building a habit, and it's getting you into something that is overall a real net positive. And I think that's the most important part, is like, just get there, get yourself there, get the job done, do it to what you can, and then you can go home rather than...
I'd like to think that, and I know it doesn't happen in every single workplace, but I'd like to think if I'm seeing, in our office, if people come in, I can see they're not quite right, I will read it straight away. I'll say everything all right, and if they're not, I would easily say, I'd just say go home. If someone said to me, a member of their family's not well, or, you know, I don't feel great today, I'd say drop everything, go home. I straight away wouldn't even think about it, because to be fair, our boss was hard at United, and he was expectant and he was demanding, but he also, if you said there was a problem, forget about football, just go home, just look after yourself, look after your family. So I think it's really important, but I know that doesn't happen in every single workplace. But I think you know, we should call it out when it doesn't happen like that, really, because I think you shouldn't have to take days off your holiday for like family members being ill, or looking after your mum or your dad or your grandparents. That should just be normal.
100%, like, and it's such a testament to you as an employer, because like, I've worked in workspaces before where it's frowned upon, taking a day, even taking your holiday is frowned upon, and it's like, it's just crazy to believe like or to see what people actually are working in and what environments they are, and you don't show up well for that job because there's no respect on either end of the scale. So it's important to always be, for you as a manager, to be looking after your staff, and in turn you get that respect back. They want to work hard for you, which is really important. And has there ever, obviously you've got so many different investments, so much going on, has there ever been a day for you where you've just thought, shit, like, this is falling apart?
Not falling apart, but sometimes I ask me, why am I doing this?
You
know, why? You know, you sometimes wake up and think, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? I think we all ask ourselves that question, probably. The last couple of months have been difficult in a couple of businesses, where we've had to sort quite a few things out. During the Euros, it was actually happening, which was actually a good time for it to happen for me, because I was away, and it meant I could deal with it where I actually had 3 days. You know, the games were in the evening, or early evening, or later in the evening, and I felt as though I could deal with them during the day. But I tend not to panic if it's the little things that bug me and make me a bit more heightened or a bit more angry. It's not the big things. The big things I expect. If you've got a business, things are going to go wrong. And you have to be able to deal with them. So when things do go wrong, I don't really react badly. It's when the little things...
But big things in business, I suppose, when something big goes wrong in a business, it's usually out of control. Whereas the little things that are like, they can build up into a big thing, and you think, well, that could have been mitigated if we just didn't...
I never criticise anybody for making a mistake in our businesses. The only thing that, like I say, bothers me is... because if people are committed and they're loyal and they work hard and they're doing their very best, they are going to make mistakes.
Absolutely.
I make mistakes.
It's human error, isn't it?
So it's like, right, okay, come on, we'll pick each other up. On a football pitch at United, if you made a mistake, which I did, if you watched me play, you know, you didn't go into the dressing room at half time and everyone starts sort of like pointing the finger at you. I'd walk in and say, lads, I'm really sorry. And they go, come on, let's get it right second half. That mentality of sort of like not, you know, of course the manager would be critical of you at half time if you made a mistake and you knew that was coming, but as colleagues, you try and pick each other up. So, no, for me, if big things happen, I'm pretty good in those situations, I think.
Yeah.
Because I think that's when, particularly I think, if something does go wrong in a business, the team are looking to you to be calm. They're looking to you for a solution, looking to you for answers, looking to you for direction. So like COVID hits and we've got the hotels.
Crazy.
They're looking for direction from me, right, what we're going to do. And so you make decisions straight away based on what it is you think's the right thing, not knowing what's coming next. We didn't know we were going to be shut down for 6 to 8 months. No one did. Yeah. Gyms were gyms affected for a year and a half, 2 years, whereby people couldn't train next to each other. So you had to adapt, you had to be resilient, you had to get on with it.
And I think COVID did show actually how resilient people can be. Like we had this huge problem and we had to find a solution.
Definitely.
And it just goes to show, I think, especially post-COVID as well in business, you can be like, well, if we got through a global pandemic, why are we not able to get through this? Like, let's get some ideas flowing and see what we need to do, because in an emergency situation, we pulled it together. Yeah,
the restaurants that went into Deliveroo mode straight away.
Yeah, it was rapid, that.
Coped amazingly well. Gyms that went online and sort of, kept their community going. There were a lot of people who innovated and sort of adapted quite quickly. We, at the university, was the one where we were obviously, we're in it, we're sort of 16 hours a week and it's in person. So there's no online teaching. We adapted within, I think, 2 weeks to completely online, which was amazing what they did. Yeah. But most universities did that, so everyone adapted to obviously schools, kids learning at home from school, so everybody adapted to it. So you do tend to, in big moments of crisis, and that was one of the biggest ones we've had, people do adapt and they do cope with it pretty well, mainly.
Yeah. It feels like a lifetime ago. It's like the craziest thing.
It feels like it didn't happen.
It actually does. Like when people are like COVID, I'm like, that was a weird time. But for you, last one we'll ask on business, how do you know when it's time to walk away from something that isn't working?
I've only done it once in one sector, and that was restaurants, independent restaurants, and that was when the third one failed. Bit of a clue.
We've done 3.
It's like, you sort of like, first one fails, you go, oh, keep going, get it right the second time. Second one fails, you're like, I think this could beat me. Then you go for the third one, that fails, oh no, get it out.
Is it me? Am I the problem?
I think we need to stay clear of this industry.
Fair enough. So, last little bit, we are obviously, well, I'm not, you're turning 15 next year. How does that feel?
I don't know really.
How are you celebrating?
Mainly I feel great because I feel like I train 4 or 5 times a week and I eat pretty well, and I feel at the moment in a good place. I feel like from a point of view of experience in my life and what I'm, last 15 years out of United, I feel like if you'd said to me what would I do in that 15 years, I would have said that's pretty much how I planned it, in terms of making the mistakes, lots of things happening, but getting to a place now where I feel more sure and more experienced. I finally feel experienced, whereby, when you play football for like 12 years, it takes like 7 or 8 years till you feel like you've experienced everything. So like you'll win, you'll lose, you'll get injured, you'll lose your form, you'll then lose your confidence again, then you'll get left out. So you'll experience everything in the cycle of sort of football life. And then you get to the point of 26, 27 as a football player where you think, right, I've seen this before. It's okay, I've been through it before. Whereas when the first time it happens to you, you feel, oh, I'm not sure I'm coping with that as well as I should, because you don't know what's happened. So now I feel like 15 years in, whether it's in business or it's in broadcasting or whatever it is I'm doing, I feel like, all right, I've seen that before. I've seen the fact that, because like in the hotels, it impacts us. If United are not doing well, it impacts us. If COVID happens, it's devastating for obviously a lot of businesses. If United lose on a match day, it impacts us. We know, but we've been through it. We know it now. We've been doing the hotels for 7 or 8, 9 years. In broadcast, you know you're going to get a name wrong of a player. I know I'm going to make a call wrong on a penalty. I've done it before. So when I do it again, you feel like you can cope with it better. So it's almost like your mistake management gets so much better that you make less mistakes, but when you do make mistakes, you feel like you're not going to beat yourself up as much because it's just part of life. So just little things like on television. I always remember when I used to make mistakes on Monday Night Football when I first started, I used to really beat myself up on the way home, and the producer said to me, do you know when you make a mistake, it's really good because it shows people it's live.
Yeah, that's so true.
And I thought, it didn't settle me down at the time, but now it does. If you're doing live television, you're going to make mistakes.
Of course you are, yeah.
You just are. You're going to make errors, you're going to get it wrong. So I feel like I'm at a point whereby now I'm sort of lived through a lot of the experiences in my businesses so that we're better, you can be more precise, more accurate and more experienced in what you do, but I think that's just life itself.
Yeah. And are you planning to celebrate your 50th?
I will. I'm working out what to do.
I have a really good idea.
Do you? I'm not sure that your good idea will be my good idea.
Me, you, Emma, Josh, get the friends together, skiing. I know you like it.
I will go skiing probably.
We'll go Cushfell, we'll get on the tables, Bagatelle. I think it'd be fantastic, Gary. You are a Feb birthday, which is peak ski season.
Do you know, I go that week of the 18th, which is my birthday, is the week that usually is the kids' half term, so we normally go skiing that week anyway.
It works perfectly.
Yeah, I'm working out whether to have a sort of a big bash, not that big because probably I don't know 150, 200 people, but I'm working out what to do. I want to do something that's nice. For my 40th, I did like a couple of things. I made like a big party, and then I had like an immediate family and friends one for about 20 people, which was nice. So I think I'll do a couple of different things, but I don't think I'll make a big deal out of it.
Yeah, because I feel like, I don't know whether you're similar to me in this regard, but like, I feel like you do so many incredible things that when someone who isn't in that position is like, oh my God, did you see Gary Neville did this? Or
yeah,
but
I won't do that.
In your life, you're just like, oh, well, yeah, that's just normal. Like presenting on TV is normal, whereas like other people are like, oh my God. So then I was wondering if like for your birthday, you are someone that likes to make a big deal, or you're someone who's just like, right, we'll keep the 50 quiet.
No, I won't. I actually have thought about it and think, what is it I want to do? But yeah, I am unsure.
You've got time, but I can help you plan. Don't worry.
I've got 7 months. I'll maybe come here on my 50th birthday and have a birthday training session.
And then we'll fly skiing afterwards.
Is it the half? Where's this ski trip come from?
Well, I saw a video of you skiing before, and I thought you looked like you have good fun. And I thought,
we do have good fun.
I will. So same. So
yeah, we do
like,
have good. We do have good fun. We to be fair, we go once. I go twice a year. Once with the family and once with the team.
Nice.
Final question for you today. A phrase that stuck with you that I feel like you speak about quite a lot is that your dad used to say, "Are we winning?" What is a phrase that you say that you think your daughters will think about in 20, 30 years' time?
Oh, they probably say drink.
I wasn't expecting that. I was thinking more emotional.
I literally am on it all the time about drinking water, but I'm trying to think what they would say. I do sometimes try and sit down with them. They're going through that phase where they just think I'm weird and strange.
Yeah. That's all right.
I don't feel like I am, but I do sit down with them. They know that I feel like the work ethic is important and being proud to sort of, work hard. And I want them to do the very best that they can do. I don't want them to look back. My dad, the best thing my dad ever said to me was, don't look back and wish you could have done more.
Yeah.
I think that's really sort of something that I'd like to think my children would not look back and think, I wish I'd done more. And there's nothing worse than that sort of feeling of regret of thinking, I wasted that year or I wasted that 2 years. And they're coming up to obviously an important part in their life, which is defining with GCSEs. And it's pressurised enough as it is, so they don't need me on at them. But you have to put the hours in, don't you? Yeah. There's no shortcut. There's no easy way to actually get to a point. And I'm not someone who's got a mountain of GCSEs at all. So I'm not where I am today through GCSEs. I thankfully played football, so it's not dependent wholly upon that. But I do think it tells you a lot about who you are as a person. That if you do things right and you work well and you're a decent person, then I think that you've got a chance. I genuinely believe those simple principles are really important. And I don't like the idea of complicating life too much. Mm-hmm. I think that's why when you're in a business and sort of, I don't go for all the sort of, I see phrases being released all the time on the internet, which are quite like sort of like about leadership or about sort of like great communication, and they sort of complicate what I think they are. They're just, to be a great communicator, you just need to basically communicate regularly, do it more often with more people, in front of a camera, or present to an audience, or if you want to do that, it's just repetition. I believe through repetition and doing things well, you'll get to where you want to be. And I want them to not look back and wish they could have done more. That's what I'd like to think they would say. Whether they will, if they were here now, they definitely wouldn't say that. They probably wouldn't say anything, but I don't want them to have regrets through sort of not putting the work into their lives.
Yeah, amazing.
Thank you
so much.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Woo!